Hey guys, it's Jessica.
And this is Kendra, and you're listening to
Lucid Lab. We're recording on a Saturday this time, which we haven't done really all that much.
We have to mix it up sometimes with our schedules.
My daughter has a school dance tonight, and just tomorrow is going to have some other stuff going on, so we had to move it around. But my daughter's dance is going to be fun. It's like 80s neon glow party theme or something like that.
That is always a best time. I feel like my kids in elementary school did 80s. It's just a really fun thing to dress your kids up in.
Yeah.
The neon colors and do like the big hair.
Right. I'm supposed to dress up too, but I don't have anything. And I'm not going to spend money on myself for a kid's
just
school
tease
dance.
Your hair. Just
sure,
make
I'll
it like really big and put some baby blue eyeshadow on.
So I did. I went through all my eyeshadows.
Yeah.
Not that I ever wore those colors, but for some reason I have a lot of those neon eyeshadow colors. So I'll at least be able to do that for her and, make her look cute. Yes. I don't let her wear makeup, but this is an occasion.
You have to. I mean, who doesn't love giving a good 80s makeup style? It's not something you can pull off every day.
No, she'll be so cute. She didn't choose a dress. She chose like this yellow jean jumper thing at the store. And I'm like, all right. She looks really cute in it. So, and then it was on the way home yesterday, I saw a bunch of birds flying. Mm-hmm. There's one thing I can always spot in the sky, and that's a hawk. I know what hawks look like from very far away. I see all these birds and there's like 30 of them and they're circling each other and I'm watching their movements. I'm like, those look like hawks, but I've only ever seen a hawk by itself. I see like 4 a day, but they're always alone.
I didn't know. Do they migrate together?
So they do, because I was at a stoplight and I'm watching them. I'm like, those are hawks. I was so confused, but I was so excited because that's like the ultimate.
It's a flock of hawks.
It's a flock of hawks. And yeah, they do. I guess they sometimes, fly together when they're migrating, and it was beautiful.
Aww.
It was an experience.
Cool to see stuff in nature. I moved to, a new area and I haven't figured out where to go walking yet. Because that was always something I enjoyed, in my last neighborhood was walking and seeing things in nature that you don't see. But we do have a lot of bunnies in my backyard, so that's been entertaining me. But we also have hawks out there, and I'm always like worried, and I'm like, I don't want to look out. Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to see that much of nature. I don't want to see them swoop down and take one.
I was on a walk last night. It was so nice yesterday.
Yeah.
It was perfect at sunset. I go to this area. I think I've talked about it a couple of times. It's like an oasis in the middle of the city. I was talking to my mom and she's like, can you stop talking for a minute? And I'm like, why? She's like, it's just all the sounds, because you can hear the frogs, you can hear the ducks, you can hear the geese, you can hear like all the little birds chit-chattering, and it's quite something to take in. So I love that I have something like that close by. You're actually up in an area where there's not a whole lot of trees, right?
Kind of, more plains. Like there is a big reservoir out there that a lot of people go and walk their dogs and everything. So I'll check that out. But yeah, it's a newer area. So most of the trees out there have been planted with the new developments. So
I couldn't handle that. Yeah. Because the trees I walk by are hundreds of years old. Massive. I just couldn't do it because there'd be no shade. I need the shade.
So you don't melt.
I'm a vampire, remember? so that was fun. But now we're here to do your episode. And I've been kind of waiting on this one a little bit, I feel like. Because you brought it up a long time ago, which will make sense in a second because we're from Colorado. But
yeah, it's something that we had to do. And I feel like after going through some of the darker paths that we've been on lately, this is kind of a lighter episode. And it's something we haven't done yet. We're going to be talking about a conspiracy. And who doesn't love a good conspiracy theory?
I know. This is great.
What we're talking about is the Denver airport.
Yep.
I spend a lot of time in the Denver airport, especially lately with my newer job. I'm traveling a lot. And I have to honestly say, when I moved to Colorado, I don't know, 15 something years ago, I knew nothing about the airport. I actually heard about this from a friend of ours in Texas when we were moving there. And he was like, oh, you're going to be flying through the airport. You need to look for all of this, this, and this. And I'm like, what? And then the first time we went through that airport to travel back to Texas to see family or whatever, I saw the big blue horse. And then I kind of got sucked into it and I was like, okay, I got to watch things about it. And there wasn't a whole lot out there. That was in like 2010, 2013, something like that. So
and I've listened to a lot of stories. Some of them I can't tell if it's just something that someone made up or if it's part of one of the conspiracies around the airport. So I'm interested to see what you tell me today.
Yeah, and I listen to several podcasts, and there are some series out there. I think there's even a Netflix series. I watched what I could and went into some of the kookier sides of the internet to read their ideas. I wish I could say that there's like definitive evidence or anything like that, but at the end of the day, the Denver airport really is a lot of just conspiracy and hypotheticals, but it's fun to talk about.
It's fun to talk about, and I wouldn't put it past an airport being a hub for some shady shit.
Yeah, it could be. Let's get into why Denver International Airport is considered so crazy and why some people believe it is harboring some secrets.
Mm-hmm.
It was built in 1995. It was a replacement for Stapleton. I don't know if you ever traveled through Stapleton.
Yeah, I've driven past that airport quite a bit.
As soon as this change happened and the amount of money that went into it, where it's located, all of that just kind of started sparking these ideas that there's something more going on than just a new airport.
Oh. Okay. If you haven't been here, it takes forever to get to our airport.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that and why. I can think of other cities, though, where I've traveled to London, for instance. It's like an hour to get from downtown London out to their airport. And it's kind of the same reasoning behind why Denver is so far out. We'll get into. But yes, it's not the only airport that you drive a long ways to, but it does seem a little excessive.
Yeah, it does.
And it's a pain in the ass when you have to travel.
But it makes sense. You know, everything's growing and they keep building new developments and areas, so they needed it far enough out that they could continue to build.
And everyone
we don't need to.
Yeah, we don't want anybody else coming. I think what a lot of people have to realize, if you have not been to Colorado, everybody thinks of Colorado as a mountainous state.
Yeah,
which we are. We have the Rocky Mountains, but that only takes up part of our state.
Right.
Not even half of the state is mountains.
It's like a third.
Most of our state is just flat plains land, and that's where the airport is.
Yeah, because then we go into Nebraska and Kansas and
So conspiracy theories have been soaring around the internet for almost 2 decades now. There were so many construction delays and there was a lot of financing difficulties that pushed that opening out, and it kept pushing. And that's when everyone started thinking there's something more going on here. One of the most famous things that happened when the airport did finally open, they'd been touting this new state-of-the-art automated baggage system. It was supposed to be the best in the world, something new technology.
Oh.
It's why there was a lot of tunnels built, which we'll go into. But they did this. They brought everybody out to see the new luggage delivery system. The bags literally came out and started launching, like flying off of the conveyor belt. People were calling it the baggage system from hell. And then everybody was also like, what? We spent billions of dollars on this new luggage system. It's not even working. Where was the money really going? And then you add in the fact that there is some unusual architecture to the Denver airport. There's some pretty crazy artworks that we'll get into. It just started this swirl online, and now you add in social media that we have today, and you have yourself a real party for conspiracy theories. Some of those are there bunkers underground?
Yes.
Are there secret tunnels that might be hiding aliens or reptilians?
Sure.
Are there clues to Nazis and secret societies?
Yes, absolutely.
Is there horrifying harbingers of doom hidden in the public artwork around the Denver airport?
Yep, because that's fun for artists to do.
Is the airport cursed?
Sure, why not? I'm just going to agree to everything.
Maybe it's haunted.
It's haunted too.
In 2012, the conspiracy theories really took off when Jesse Ventura, who was a ex-wrestler, I believe, and then he became a senator in, I didn't write this down, Wisconsin or Minnesota somewhere. And then he started a show called Conspiracy Theory on the Sci-Fi Channel. And he was the big one to really say, I have proof that the Denver airport is actually built to harbor all of the most important people in the world. It's like this doomsday bunker where they're all going to come and they're going to launch the whole New World Order from Denver. It's the headquarters. And now you will see many other people kind of following in Jesse Ventura's footsteps. And a lot of people consider him the most like legit guy to come out. But I did watch his show. And once again, I didn't see a whole lot of proof from him evidence wise. I will also state that I am not a big conspiracy theory person. I do believe there are things happening that we don't know about, but I don't buy into a lot of them.
It's hard to say because what were brought up to me that I would say 5-10 years ago, I would have called a conspiracy theory is now our reality today. So it's hard to discount anything. And with everything that's coming out in the world and all of the people who have all these secret societies everywhere and how many people are connected and involved, I don't discount very much anymore. So.
I think there's creepy shit going on. We're going to talk about the secret societies, don't you worry. But I did want to look up just the psychology of conspiracy theorists and why we want to believe in this. It's kind of like the paranormal. We're looking for something for meaning.
Okay.
According to Psychology Today, many people want to believe in conspiracy theories because of their own desire for meaning, certainty, security, or to maintain their own self-image. I don't know what that means, but that's what the psychologists say. In the case of the Denver airport, there's always been quite a few questions about its construction, why the airport cost so much and took so much time, and why it was built as far out as it is. And as we'll find out on the amount of land that they chose for this airport is pretty crazy.
Yeah, because all our concourses are very spread out over miles, right?
Yeah, that's why you have to take a tram.
Right, we have a tram.
And I will give some of the simple, boring answers that may not be as exciting for us. There are logical reasons as to why things are there. But according to Psychology Today, the reason we want to believe in conspiracy theories is that instead of those simple, boring answers, we find more comfort in indulging in wild theories, which are way more exciting than any just other mundane explanation out there. It's kind of like why we want to believe in magic. We want something to be more meaningful than it is. But without actual evidence, it's hard to completely buy into some of these conspiracy theories. Looking through this at Denver, there are some that maybe make you question things. And then there's ones that you're like, fuck no.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about them all. So whether you believe in conspiracies or the rumors about Denver Airport, I'm going to spend time today digging into those popular items that have been said over the years. I am in this airport at least monthly these days. I wonder sometimes, am I walking above some nefarious end of the world planning quarters?
Yeah.
As I run to catch my gate.
It's not like they're going to tell us.
No. Or is the truth just boring logical reasons and it's just a bunch of people down there working in underground offices because why not?
So from everything you described, I guess I'll just call myself the conspiracy theorist in this episode because that does sound a lot more exciting than people sitting in offices underneath the airport. But also, I do tend to go that route. I'll believe in what's not proved yet because it's the people with the money who aren't going to tell us shit. It's possible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories can be fun as long as you don't take them too far.
You can't live in
your
that
whole life
world
around them. I think the Denver airport conspiracy to me is not as dark as some of the other ones. It's like, oh, are there aliens? Are there reptilians? But then when you really start thinking about, but why would there be? There is some, nefarious things involved if you want to believe that kind of stuff is going on. So let's break down the many ideas out there circulating about the Denver airport. But first of all, let's start talking about what the Denver airport is and where it's at and why it was built in the way that it was. DIA is 33,531 acres large.
Wow.
That is 52 square miles.
Yeah.
That is the
Holy
land.
crap.
That is the land that is owned by the Denver International Airport. It is the largest airport in the Western Hemisphere by land area.
Wow.
It's the second largest on Earth. The only airport larger is the King Fahd International Airport in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So why?
Why in Denver,
Why?
Colorado?
Yeah, why?
Just to give you some idea of how fucking large 52.4 square miles is, it is 1.5 times the size of Manhattan.
Holy crap. Okay.
DIA is larger in land area than the U.S. cities of Boston and San Francisco.
Wow.
So when I think of it in that perspective, that does seem excessive.
Yeah, what's the fucking point?
Why would we need that much land?
Yeah.
A lot of that land's not being used today.
Unless it's all underground.
We'll talk. The Denver airport is a popular airport for connections. It's one of the main hubs if you're coming from East Coast to West Coast or West Coast to East Coast. So that makes sense. It is the third busiest airport in the world.
Wow.
It has more than 69 million travelers passing through as of 2022. It also employs over 40,000 employees. DIA is the largest employer in the state of Colorado.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I know.
Okay.
I love learning these, you know, just random facts because it kind of puts it into perspective on why people might think there's something more going on.
Right.
We're not that big of a city.
I know. That's
But if you think of it as the gateway between the East and the West Coast in the U.S., almost everything passes through Denver. That kind of makes some sense.
But it doesn't really make sense that we'd be the gateway. We're not in the middle.
True.
So yeah.
I think we'll get into this later, but we also don't have the best weather. So
I know.
Coming through Denver doesn't make as much sense as maybe going through somewhere a little further east that doesn't have as fluctuating weather patterns as Denver does.
Right. We have like 5, sometimes 6 months of snow and rain sometimes.
And where the Denver airport is located, if you've ever flown in here, you'll notice when you land, a lot of people coming in think they're going to see the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and you land and it feels like you're landing in a cow field.
Right.
It is actually 25 miles away from downtown Denver, which seems a little crazy.
Yep.
And when you land, you might see the mountains, you might not, just depending on what side of the plane you are on, but you will see that they are way far away.
Yeah.
So how did the airport end up way out there? Is it because they wanted to use this large land to build some secret lair for various creatures? Or is there something much more obvious?
I don't know.
Before building Denver International Airport, the Stapleton Airport was the main place that you flew in and out of. It is closer to the city. Actually, I think it was only 14 miles from downtown Denver. So it's still a little ways out, but if you've been to Denver, you'll realize right now it feels like it's right in the middle of housing developments.
Right.
The way that Denver has grown.
Yep.
So Stapleton International Airport was the 6th busiest airport in the country by the 1960s. They were starting to realize that it was not going to be sustainable with the amount of traffic that wanted to come through Denver. So United Airlines was hubbed at that Stapleton International Airport, and I still believe they have headquarters there today. I've driven by it.
Oh, yeah, probably. Like their offices, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Stapleton Airport was in a location, and the way that the city had grown around it, it was not able to expand.
Yep. It's off of a main street, like a main busy street now.
Yeah, it's right off of I-70.
Yeah, off of I-70 in Quebec.
And now, actually, if you go to Stapleton Airport area, it's become a big housing development over there. Really trendy, and they've built all these cool restaurants. It was cramped, and they had no room to add additional flights or runways. What they were running into is because it's Denver, Colorado, and we have bad weather, they didn't have as many runways. They didn't have a way to clear them, and they would end up with a lot of long waits or canceled flights because of that. Additionally, its location was near many growing housing developments that were moving out east that way, and homeowners began to complain about the sound of the planes.
Yep, I would too, I guess.
Nobody wants to buy an expensive house and listen to that.
There, I guess. I don't know.
So in the 1980s, the Denver Regional Council of Government started investigating areas for a new place to put an airport. They were looking both north and east of Denver. In 1983, we had a mayor of Denver named Frederico Pena, which if you come to Denver Airport, Pena Boulevard is the main road that goes out there. He was the mayor who really started campaigning on a plan to expand Stapleton. The plan had broad support from people in Denver, but Adams County did not like it because they didn't want an airport coming close to where they had homeowners and would, affect their property values. So eventually they struck a deal, and Adams County actually found this land, this 54 square miles out east where nothing was near it. It was away from established neighborhoods. They approved to annex their property to Denver. Because of the importance of Denver to the entire air hub national transportation system, the government actually put up $500 million, the federal government, that's equivalent to about $1.1 billion today, towards this new airport.
Interesting.
So that's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
The rest of the costs would be financed by bonds, which would be repaid with fees on the airlines. That's why we all pay fees. It's helping pay for this. Once that was all agreed financially, the ground was broken in September of 1989 to build the new airport. This was considered a mega project. It was going to take a long time, but the plan was that it would open in October of 1993, so just 4 years later.
Okay. So weird thinking back to those years.
I know.
It's like, doesn't sound that long ago, but then you remember how old you are and you're like,
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Now, United Airlines, who had been happy to stay at Stapleton, refused to move to the new airport because they said the fees were going to be too high. The way that they got United to agree to the higher fees is by saying that they would include a state-of-the-art automated baggage system at the new airport, which we already know is going to not work out. Anyone who's been to DIA knows that our baggage takes fucking forever. Spoiler alert, the automated baggage system never worked. They invested
Wow.
a lot of money. They tried it. It shredded all the luggage and shot it out, and it's never been used again. But the whole reason they did that was just to get United to move to DIA.
Okay.
I guess United still stayed.
Yeah.
It's still a main hub. They continue to have construction delays, and the opening day pushed back. It was supposed to be October of 1993. Then they said it would be ready in December. Then they said it would be ready in March of 1994. Then there was a metalworkers strike, and there was other events. It just kept getting pushed back.
At this time when the Denver airport is being built, Rose is being sentenced for all of her murders
In 1993?
in 1994.
Oh, shit.
Anyway,
And I was a freshman in high school.
it's just weird when you think of
Start
all the
putting it all
shit
together.
going on at the same time.
And we didn't know because we didn't have the worldwide internet, social media. Like,
Social media.
we didn't know
Yeah.
what was going on the
Yeah.
other side of the world.
I know. Crazy.
So because of the continued problems and setbacks that happened with the construction of the airport, this triggered an early onset of conspiratorial claims. One of the first was that the various problems with the design and the construction running wildly over budget were all due to the fact that the facility was being built on an ancient Native American burial ground.
Oh.
We've never been able to find that there was any tribe or native organization that ever said that they own that land, and there's nothing behind that. Some people still believe that the Denver airport was cursed from the get-go.
You know, I wouldn't say no to that. In this area, we have that a lot, and just burial grounds in general. Did you know that that is the same thing for the Denver Botanic Gardens?
Oh, no, I haven't
Remember,
heard that.
it used to just have a parking lot. Now it's a parking garage. And when they started building the garage and had to excavate deeper down, they found a ton of bones. But it was like a long lost burial ground of some sort. And they had to stop construction for a very long time for archaeologists to come in and
Figure out what it was.
yeah, but it just sucks because they were removed for a fucking garage, and that kind of shit just pisses me off.
Yeah, and then they haunt you forever.
It's like, I get it. There's a lot of land, and I just don't see why we are constantly moving people's resting places. It's annoying to me.
Or perhaps we should all just be cremated, and then we don't have to worry about that.
I'm so scared to be cremated. I know you want to, but just knowing what goes on in some of these facilities and the fact that a lot of them don't fucking care. I know. It just goes back to we're not even safe when we're dead.
No, not as women. The longer your body's around, the more likely something creepy is going to happen to you.
I wish I could just be shot out into space. Then I'd live forever. I'd just float around.
Or just become like pink dust.
Yeah. Well, once I hit some kind of object out there, I'll go.
So back
Anyway.
to the Native American burial ground. There is no archaeological evidence that suggests that was the case.
Okay.
They did all of that before they started digging, and the only thing they found proof of is that it may have been a hunting ground. So they found like animal bones and things, but there was no evidence of a burial ground. So
Okay.
that one has been debunked. I don't think we have to worry about a Native American curse on DIA, but there could be other things going on for sure, which we'll keep talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So in April 1994, that was when the city invited all of the reporters in to observe the first test of the new automated baggage system. We already talked about that. They said reporters saw scenes of clothing and other personal items just scattered all over the building. And it was pretty embarrassing for those who had touted the wonderful things that were coming. And the mayor ended up canceling. They were going to open in May of 1994. And he canceled the opening altogether and said, we need to figure out this baggage system. And that took them almost a year.
I'm like,
trying to
Okay.
figure that out and get it ready or whatever was going on. But the date that Denver Airport finally opened was February 28th of 1995. That was 16 months behind schedule.
oh, wow.
So that's a
Well,
lot.
I mean, first of all, is there video footage of this happening?
Yes.
Oh,
of
there is?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to go look for that.
I need to find it. I didn't look it up, but it was on the news.
Second, construction always falls behind. I've been in the industry a very long time with a lot of different things, and it never happens on time. So, ever.
So you're not surprised by 16
No,
months, especially not this
with
large.
this
Mhm.
large of a project. Yeah.
It also came in at a cost of $4.8 billion, which was $2 billion over their budget.
And that always happens as well. It always goes
Now,
over budget.
I bring this up because a lot of conspiracies will come back to why was it $2 billion over?
I mean,
it's because they were building bunkers.
Is a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Okay, but yeah.
The construction at the time over those many years employed about 11,000 workers. So think about that. If there was a conspiratorial thing being done, there were a lot of people that would have had to have been involved and seen things.
Right. Yeah.
One more note on the baggage system. They did try to make it work for about 9 years. And then eventually they were like, this isn't going to work. It continued to be a problem. And it became a huge joke about the almost $5 billion airport with this state-of-the-art baggage that literally was eating people's clothing. And
how can we make airplanes that fly in the sky, but you can't figure out
I don't know.
Fucking rolling baggage system inside a building?
Unless they weren't really building those tunnels for the baggage system. And that's what a lot of people will say. In September 2005, about 9 years later, they shut down the automated baggage system, and now baggage handlers manually drive in the little carts, which you'll see while you're there.
Right.
And if you land in the C concourse, it takes you forever to get your bags because they have to go all the way there from a little train. All of the tunnels that were built to support this new automated system are supposedly just not used now.
We should be able to go tour them.
Some people have been down there. We'll get into it.
Never seen again.
If you have been to the Denver airport, it is a very unique looking structure. The roof of the airport was built in a very interesting way. It's actually made instead of just, a regular metal roof or whatever. They decided to get artistic with it.
Yep.
It was designed to resemble snow-capped mountains mixed in with the early history of Colorado when Native Americans lived in teepees across the Great Plains where this was built.
Yeah, or like a circus tent.
Yeah, it does look a lot like a circus tent. That's a good way to describe it. And it was built with a steel cable system similar to how the Brooklyn Bridge was designed. And then it has a fabric roof.
Right.
The fabric roof was supposed to help with sustainability and heating the airport and requiring less energy. From what I read, it sounds like what they thought it would do is not actually what it does. It was also supposed to last for many, many years, and that didn't seem to happen either. So that one has been another blight on the whole Denver airport.
Like, who came up with all these ideas?
They're like, why didn't y'all just build a building? You had to get all creative, and now it's kind of biting you in the butt.
Denver airport is always under construction too.
Yep, we're going to talk about that too. It has been under construction from the beginning and is still under construction today. I don't think I've ever traveled through the Denver airport where something's not being done.
Right.
Something really interesting about Denver, and I think this is pretty cool, is that any public building, it is mandatory that 1% of the budget goes towards art.
Oh, okay.
With a $4.8 billion structure, that's a lot of money going towards artwork. And so with that, they were able to hire quite a few artists that they wanted to do inspirational pieces throughout the Denver airport. And that artwork includes sculptures, murals, photos, sound art, paintings. And we'll talk more about that artwork because a lot of people believe that it has signs pointing to apocalyptic themes or secret societies. Things did not go very smoothly because once again, we're in Colorado, and where they chose to build the airport is a place where, I don't know how else to describe it, like just there's like crosswinds there. Right. And some of those things were not thought about.
Right.
Blizzards hit this area much more. Eastern Colorado gets hit by way more snowfall sometimes than even the mountains. Yep. And in 2003, there was actually such a bad blizzard that the weight of the heavy snow, we just talked about that white fabric roof, when 2 feet of snow fell, it actually tore through the roof.
Oh, wow.
They had to shut down the airport, and it stranded thousands of people over 2 days.
Wow.
And then just a couple years after that, 20 inches fell. And
I was here for that one.
Were you? This was in 2006.
Yeah, I was at an apartment. That's the one, I think I mentioned it. I was like trying to get home and no one was coming to take the snow out. And so I shoveled my way out of my apartment complex parking lot to get home to New Mexico. I was like, I am not staying here. I'm going to see my family.
In 20 inches of snow. Well, the airport was a disaster at that time. And once again, thousands of people were stranded for over 2 days. And so following this, the airport started investing heavily in snow removal equipment. Also figuring out if there's something else they could do with the runways to not completely stop traffic, knowing that snow is always going to happen. With this, they were able to figure out a way to clear all of the runways within just 15 minutes.
Okay.
They have added more runways. They now have runway number 16R34L, which is the airport's 6th runway, and it is longer than all the others. It's 16,000 feet long, and only six other runways in the world are this long. It allows certain aircraft like Boeing 747s and Airbus A380s to take off. And there's something to be said about Denver. You have to plan for different conditions because we are 1 mile above sea level. So apparently that has something to do, and I am not an aeronautics expert in any way, but you need a longer runway to make it.
Strip. Okay.
So that's something else that we have, that perhaps that's why they needed the land that they did, is that they wanted to make sure they had plenty of room for these extra long runways.
So they knew that, but they destroy baggage.
I don't know. They must have hired the wrong firm to figure out the baggage system. I don't know what happened there.
Who knew that our discussion would be about baggage the entire time?
They started another major renovation, which is what we're going through right now, in 2018. And what they're trying to do is, the big area now where we go through security is called the Great Hall. And they have this vision that that will become like a big area similar to many other international airports throughout the world, like with a host of shops and restaurants and areas for people to hang out outside of security.
But it is that already.
No, because that's where all the security was, and they only had like 4 restaurants. They're going to build, it's going to become a big mall. I think of the Hong Kong airport was the one I went to. It was like being in a fucking shopping mall on Rodeo Drive. It was just full of probably like hundreds of shops and restaurants. And that's the new Denver vision, is to make this airport a little more cosmopolitan.
Okay.
Because that's what we are in Denver. And so they're moving all the security upstairs. They're hoping to have all of that done by 2028. So it's a 10-year project.
That's ridiculous.
Good luck. They also are adding more concourses and more gates, and their plan is to, by 2045, they actually call it Operation 2045, they want to support the airport's goal of serving over 125 million passengers annually. So that's almost double what we see today. So that is why there's all the construction there from a surface level.
Okay.
But let's go a little deeper and see what else could be going on.
Yeah, and that might not matter if we're not allowed to leave the country at some point. No one accepts us anymore.
Yeah, that's true. We'll build all this and then, I mean, we can fly around the States.
If we build it, they will come, or they'll let us go over there.
We hope. So one of the most pervasive conspiracies, legends, whatever you want to call it, about the Denver airport is that it was built by members of a secret society.
I believe it.
Which secret society, though?
All of them.
Pretty much, because it depends on who you ask. There's different theories out there that point to the Freemasons. There's some that point to the Illuminati. And then others say it's the New World Order, or perhaps all of the above, since the 3 groups are often said to be linked.
Yeah.
Some of the conspiracy theories include the airport's dedication date, which was March 19th of 1994. If you add all of those numbers together, it equals 33, which is the highest level in Freemasonry. So if you want to get into that, there's a lot of things that I saw when researching this where you can come up with the number 33. So a lot of people will tie that back to the Masons.
Okay.
So before I go into more about this, I think for those of you who are not into the conspiracy theory trenches and maybe don't know some of these groups, I'm just going to give a high level overview of what these 3 groups do.
Okay.
So let's start with the New World Order. They are the one that I feel like I've heard the most about in the last, 10 years or so.
Yep.
So this is an idea that there's a secret totalitarian world government that is being formed by a elite group with a globalist agenda. So they eventually want to achieve what everyone wants to achieve, world domination.
Right. Yeah.
And that they would rule the entire world as this one government, and it would be a very authoritarian type of state.
Yeah.
They would replace all of the current governments today. Anyone who pushed against them would be quickly eliminated.
Scary.
Many influential historical and even those today have been alleged to be part of this evil cabal that operates through many fronted organizations. Nobody really knows what their overall purpose is, except for they want to rule the world. But everything I've ever seen about New World Order is not good. It's like,
yeah, it's scary.
I'm trying to think there was like 1984, I guess is the book that comes to mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something like that, where you don't know what to believe. And if you speak against them, you're just taken off and dealt with.
It's scary because it's like all of these separate governments we have right now is creating all the wars and everything like that. But at the same time, if we're all under one, that's
who do
even
you go
scarier.
to? Because now there's like some checks and balances.
Right.
And if you have one New World Order that thinks they know everything, or they do because they become the one in power, we're all screwed. On that happy note, we'll move into the Freemasons. Many people think that the Freemasons feed into this New World Order. It's one of the world's oldest fraternal organizations, and it actually arose in Great Britain during the 18th century. The allegations on the Freemasons, if you're not part of the Freemasons, you really don't know what they do. Some of the allegations are that they have a hidden political agenda, and they are actually the ones conspiring to bring about this New World Order. And it would be organized according to their Masonic principles. And only those who were Freemasons would be allowed to be part of that government. They use a lot of Masonic symbolism, and they have rites that they use for initiation into the Freemasonry. I think you have to be a man to be in the Masons. In the late 18th century, they were actually accused of secretly practicing Satanism. Many people have said that they were conspiring to take over religions. I can't find a lot about them. It might be an interesting episode in the future.
Yeah.
Some conspiracy theorists out there speculate that some of our founding fathers of the U.S., such as George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, were Freemasons. I think that it's known that they might have been, but they also believe that they did some kind of secret geometric designs that are interwoven into different parts of our United States, like the dollar bill, the Great Seal of the United States, which is in Washington, D.C.
All-seeing eye.
The architecture of the National Mall landmarks, and even the streets and highways of Washington, D.C. All is connected to the Masons, which is therefore connected to the New World Order, because that is their goal, is to bring about this New World Order.
Oh, you just made me think of something.
What's that?
The lab report. Oh, I wish I remembered her name, but reptilian in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you're right.
You might not believe in the reptilians, but maybe it is all connected.
Maybe you have to be a reptilian to be a Freemason.
And then the Illuminati is just a department.
So that brings me to the Illuminati. Honestly, I feel like the Illuminati, to me, I thought it was a fictional thing that was like put in some movie, maybe the Da Vinci Code or something like that. I didn't realize this was a real organization until maybe like 5 years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it is another secret society, and it was founded by...
Oh, it's not a secret anymore.
None of these are secrets. We know y'all exist. I guess it's secret in that we don't really know what happens behind their closed doors.
We know that they turn celebrities into Satan workers or whatever.
Something. The Illuminati, I feel like I hear more about lately, but they were founded by a university professor named Adam Weishaupt.
Ooh.
I'm probably not saying that right. It's German. It was in 1776 in Bavaria, Germany.
Oh, wow.
I did not know this. Germany.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Who
either.
Knew? The movement originally consisted of advocates for free thought, secularism, liberalism, gender equality, and they recruited from the German Masonic lodges. And they were trying to teach rationalism and anti-religious sentiments through their mystery schools, is what they were called.
That's like Harry Potter.
It sounds kind of cool. I kind of want to be a part of the Illuminati.
It turned into something not cool.
I think this was just a way for them to push against the fact that church and state were not separated, and they were probably trying to teach people to think outside of the religious culture. In 1785, so just 9 years after they were opened, I don't know what after they were founded, they were infiltrated and broken up, and the government came after them.
Interesting.
They said that they were a threat to the fabric of society and that they were a hotbed of conspiracies to overthrow the monarchy in Bavaria and also to overthrow the Roman Catholic Church. There is no real true evidence that this original Illuminati even survived after that.
Okay.
But we know that they are potentially still out there.
Oh, they are.
In fact, it's a conspiracy theory in itself. It was speculated that they were actually secretly still intact and that they were the masterminds behind the French Revolution.
Oh, okay.
To me, this almost sounds cool. Like they were the ones behind all of the revolutions throughout Europe and were the ones that were really orchestrating anything to do with pushing back on the government and the monarchies that were all over Europe in the late 17th and 18th centuries.
Okay. So they sound good right now.
They sound like V for Vendetta.
Yeah, for sure.
Because everyone who was trying to take them down were the ruling classes. So this almost sounds like the working man just trying to come out against. Into the 20th century, there were still theories that the Illuminati was acting in the background. And there were popular thoughts that the Illuminati was a subversive secret society which was serving the Jewish elites to prop up capitalism in order to divide and rule the world.
Oh, what did I say before? Scratch that.
Maybe they're not so nice at this
No.
point. Some believe that the Illuminati could even be behind who shot John F. Kennedy.
Okay, why not?
Basically, they can be behind anything that you wonder about. And once again, their main goal is to bring about the New World Order and working with the Freemasons. I'm looking at what I wrote down from all of the different ideas behind the Illuminati, and it's almost too much. It's just like anything you can think of they could have been involved in. But at the end of the day, they're just behind the scenes orchestrating different things to undermine what is happening with our supposed governments up front. Or they could be a cabal of evil Satan worshipers that are trafficking kids. I don't know.
I think it's all of it. We already know some of this. People who work behind the scenes are never doing anything good.
No. Back to DIA, the main piece of evidence that a secret society is involved is that there is a time capsule beneath a large stone that was dedicated on that date I already mentioned, March 19th, 1994. This granite marker depicts the squares and compasses symbol of the Freemasons and the name of the two Grand Lodges and their Grand Masters. Sealed beneath the stone is a time capsule containing messages and memorabilia for the people of Colorado in 2094.
Oh, wow. Darn, we won't get to see it.
While some bring this up as proof that the Masons were involved, the airport officials say it's just evidence of the generosity of the local Masonic lodges that crafted and laid the stone on top of the time capsule that they wanted to put together for the future generation. After all, that's what stonemasons are supposed to do.
Can someone who is a time traveler, because I know some of you are here, can you let us know or go open it yourself? Go to 2094.
One of the main reasons this conspiracy theory specifically has so much staying power and is probably the most heard one is because the airport was much more expensive than originally projected, as we already talked about, $2 billion. So a lot of people are like, how did they come up with this extra $2 billion? A lot of conspiracy theorists point to Illuminati money, the Freemasons, some secret society. They believe that they helped pay to finish the DIA construction in exchange for the secret society having access to use the property themselves.
I can see that. $2 billion's a lot.
And one of the big rumors out there is that one of the first few buildings on the property was not built properly. And some of the construction workers say that they didn't demolish them, but instead they buried them underground and built new buildings on top of them. And that was funded by the Illuminati or the Freemasons, whichever one you want to believe, so that they would have their own underground lair.
Okay.
I did look into this, and to be able to take a building that had already been constructed above ground and then move it underground is not something that is done in construction. Like if you want to build an underground bunker or whatever, you would start with it underground. They could have used, I guess, if they had built walls or concrete or something, maybe they could have deconstructed it and used parts of it to rebuild underneath. But the way that some of the conspiracy theorists out there say is that they just took the building, dug a hole and kind of plopped it in. Definitely didn't happen that way.
No, it still could have been happening, just not in that way.
Right. The other piece that everyone brings up that points to the New World Order is that there was a mention of a group called the New World Airport Commission. This organization was a temporary group that was set up and formed by a man named Charles Ansbacher, and he was the chair of the state's Council on the Arts and Humanities. The purpose of the organization was primarily to promote and arrange the festivities for the airport's opening, and as such, it only lasted until the airport opened. So it was just this short little stint. Ansbacher was a conductor for the Colorado Springs Symphony, and he said he chose the name based on one of his favorite pieces of music, which is Dvorak's Symphony No. 9 in E minor, and it is called From the New World, more commonly known as the New World Symphony. So he said that was his inspiration for why he called the group the New World Airport Commission. But some, because this is a known commission and there's reference to them within the airport, some people think that it is a coded version along with the Masonic stone to point to the New World Order, saying that this is their place. But I don't think they would be that obvious. So,
or they could be. I mean, it's one of those things nowadays where it is right in front of your fucking face a lot of the time, and we're just not paying attention.
Or we write it off because it's right there.
Exact. That's what I'm talking about. And they think it's so funny because they can literally show us and we won't see it.
And maybe Ansbacher is part of the Masons. We don't know. Or Illuminati.
He knows music, so he just said that. Yeah.
Well, that's both sides of that coin. And then the time capsule that is to be opened in 2094, if you're curious what's in there, it is supposedly filled with coins. Supposedly. A baseball from Coors Field. A pair of former Denver Mayor Wellington's sneakers. I don't know why you would want the mayor's shoes. They said it was a nod to his famed sneaker campaign, during which he campaigned door to door throughout the city. But who gives a fuck about who the mayor was 100 years ago?
Yeah.
To me, that's a weird one. Anyways, there are a few Black Hawk casino tokens and just some other random memorabilia from Denver. But none of us know for sure until it is opened. There is rumors that some people have tried to get under that stone because they think there is something else in that time capsule.
Watch, there's nothing.
You open it and it brings on the end of the world.
You open it and that leads to the tunnels.
Interesting that you say that, because another popular theory is that there's a braille tablet above the masonry dedication stone. And some people believe that that is actually a keypad. And if you touch the raised dots in the correct sequence, you'll be able to open the time capsule.
Oh.
So not quite to the tunnels, but
okay.
One airport employee says she's heard reports of Freemasons visiting the capstone and trying to swipe their Masonic membership cards near the time capsule just in case to see if they can get in. I think they'd be very disappointed if they happen to get in there somehow and it's just some dirty sneakers.
Yeah. I would say
and
something
a couple coins.
Different is in there. What's the purpose of that? You're going to tell us what's in there? Why would we want to open it 100 years later?
Do they put time capsules in most big public buildings?
I don't know.
That's something I should have looked up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that right now.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple in my mom's backyard.
Like y'all put them?
Well, because school would do them, right? I remember doing them with school stuff. And then it was just interesting to me. So I remember burying several shoe boxes worth of stuff in my parents' backyard.
I was looking through and, Wikipedia just has a list of all the time capsules in the world and there's 10 to 15,000. And I was looking in the US and they're buried in different places, under statues. There's one at Disney World. There's a bunch at high schools. There's one in the Roosevelt Dam. They're put into monuments. They're in hotels. And they're in the San Francisco airport I saw came up too. I guess it's just a little snippet in time.
It's a nod to the time it was built.
Yeah. But maybe there's something more to the DIA one. The fact that it has a Masonic stone over it makes everyone question it.
Right.
In addition to this capstone, there are inscriptions on the floor at various locations of the terminals in DIA, which have aroused suspicions of being strange markings that could be a secret Kabbalistic language. Only those who are part of these secret societies would even know what they mean.
Oh.
But that's been debunked because in actuality, they are just Navajo language. They've been translated to mean things such as, I'm not going to try and read what they are.
Yeah.
I might put some pictures of these on the internet because they do look like kind of gibberish. One of the words is spelled D-Z-I-T. I guess some could think that's coded. According to those who know the Navajo language, they just mean things like the mountain that is white.
Okay.
One means white metal, one means Tallow River, and one is the name of a mountain that was sacred to the Navajo people named Mount Blanca. In addition to these Navajo inscriptions, there's another items inscribed on the floors, which a lot of people have brought up in conspiracy theories. It is an image of a mine cart with the cryptic letters AUAG inscribed within the mine cart.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a scientist, if you remember the table of elements.
Right.
Is that what
Periodic
it's called?
table.
Periodic table. That's it. AU and AG are the chemical symbols for gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
Which we know in Colorado history.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of gold and silver mining, but there are some people who think this is not as innocuous as it would seem. The claim relating to this inscription is that it secretly reveals the means by which the Illuminati or New World Order will wipe out the bulk of humanity. The AUAG supposedly refers to a pathogen known as the Australian antigen.
Ugh.
If you know anything about antigens, that is something that actually triggers an immune response. It's not an actual pathogen itself. Right. But there is, in fact, something called the Australia antigen. It was named this because it was first found in an Aboriginal patient, and it is used today to diagnose and treat hepatitis B. So there's nothing really nefarious to it. It's not going to wipe out all of humanity, but some still go back and say this AUAG means that, and that they believe that is something that is going to be used by the New World Order to wipe out those that they deem unnecessary for their plot of taking over the world, which would include those who are the elites and the rest of us that are destined to serve them.
Okay.
I don't believe in the AUAG. I think it's just silver and gold.
Yeah.
So to me, that one's
so.
Very easy to wipe off. I don't know what you think about the secret societies.
Oh,
Did they help fund it? Maybe. Got to be a pretty big organization to have that kind of money.
And we know that there are several people who have that kind of money, and people we don't even know that have more money.
Now, if you want to continue down the path of the idea that the New World Order is part of the funding and planning behind the construction of the airport, it is also many times brought up that the New World Order actually has ties to the Nazis.
That doesn't surprise me. You've said some names that
right.
are probably part of the Nazis.
So Nazi conspiracy theories have been among the most popular online for the last 2 decades when it comes to DIA, but this is something that you don't see addressed as often.
Okay.
So the DIA officials who will speak out about some of these conspiracy theories and the validity of any of them will always shy away from this. They don't want to talk about Nazis, just like we can't even post things on TikTok about Nazis. So they tread very lightly here. But this theory is that the runways at DIA are arranged to form a swastika as a tribute to the fascist New World Order. I will have a picture so you can decide for yourself. This was actually one of the very first things I heard about the Denver airport back in the day. I can say if you look at the picture and you want to draw one, the layout does bear a resemblance to that symbol if you look at it from an aerial photography perspective.
Right.
But it's not really well defined if you really hone in on it. It's really, you have to like pick and choose to make it. It's not like just like clearly the runways form it. It's like if you include some buildings, if that makes sense. But I will include this on Instagram so you can decide for yourself. There is also, once again, a very benign, boring reason for why it would be shaped in that fan shape, kind of a pinwheel, if you think about what a swastika looks like. The pinwheel, when you have the land at an airport, is a optimal way to arrange your runways because it allows for optimal takeoff into and against the wind from every direction.
Gotcha.
And that allows them to shift as needed based on weather and traffic patterns.
Okay.
And it just makes it a more efficient airport. That's really the truth of it all.
Yeah.
Does it end up looking like a swastika? Maybe.
Yeah.
A swastika kind of looks like a pinwheel.
Yeah.
So having the runways in this pinwheel design makes it easier for multiple runways to be used at once, and it minimizes the chance of having to shut down all of the runways during one inclement weather or strong winds. They can just switch it around. To me, that's the only thing I saw. We will get into artwork here in a minute, and there is more ties to what people believe is a Nazi agenda.
Okay.
I don't really know what the Nazi agenda is and how it ties to the New World Order.
Well,
except for that it's totalitarian, just like
the people who I guess are more in charge here, more than our government in a lot of ways. You know, we allowed all of these Nazi scientists to come over here. They're the reason we went to the moon.
Oh,
supposedly.
Okay.
They should have been murdered back then, right? But no, instead we brought them here and we used their intelligence to get ahead in life. So it wouldn't surprise me that a lot of stuff is tied to the Nazis here.
Yeah. Did they ever really go away? Or are they another secret society?
No, they're everywhere.
Maybe that just got renamed as the Illuminati.
Yep. They're all the same thing. There's just different levels of agenda,
Right.
I guess is how I would think of it.
How do they organize this all? Like, who is the main
We don't know those
master?
people.
Like,
we wouldn't even be able to recognize them, because the only people who are out and about and that we have this theory that they could be tied to it are probably the small people in the game.
mm-hmm.
You got to have a face for something. They'll choose you. And if you do it wrong, you get killed. It's simple.
And they're all under the Denver airport right now.
No, that's just another hub that they can go to.
Well, speaking of that, let's get into the underground bunkers. So,
Okay.
according to many unnamed anonymous sources, there's a vast underground complex beneath the Denver airport. Many claim that all of the chaos and turmoil during the airport's construction was actually deliberately engineered to hide the fact that they were building all of this underground infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
The claim goes that by constantly altering plans, changing contractors, and shuffling around construction crews, nobody would have a clear picture of what exactly was built.
Okay.
Well, nobody but maybe the lizard people.
Yeah.
This claim is somewhat undermined by the fact that they also like to frequently cite one anonymous whistleblower who claimed to have worked on a construction crew and therefore knew exactly what was being built. So in one perspective, they're saying they did this to move it around. And then there was other ones where a guy came forward and said, no, I knew exactly what was going on. So
Okay.
who do you believe? The one guy who's the whistleblower who might just be out there trying to get notoriety or whatever? Or did they hire him to go out and say that? Like, you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be either. Is he still alive? Did he die shortly after?
I think so.
He died shortly after?
No, I don't think he died.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I said I think he's still alive, but
They like to kill whistleblowers.
he was anonymous, so nobody knows who he was. So if you go on the conspiracy theorists, they kind of speak out of both sides of their mouth, because they're saying like nobody could know what was going on because they kept changing all this. And then they have this one whistleblower that they also bring up and say, but this guy said that this is there. So therefore we have proof. And it's like, you can't say both. Even if they were changing construction crews all the time, anybody who worked on this project would know if they were building underground bunkers. But nobody has really come forward other than supposedly this one whistleblower.
Okay.
And once again, remember in the beginning, I said there was 11,000 people that worked on this project.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. If you're paid handsomely to do something, you might not say anything. You know,
none of them are on their deathbeds yet, maybe.
No.
Some of them maybe. 1994 is when it opened.
Maybe they're all in the time capsule right now. Everybody who worked on the project.
Maybe everyone who worked on the project was never allowed to leave the underground bunkers.
Yeah.
That is a theory too.
Okay. It's possible to build something and it not be out there.
Yeah. They have to sign something. If these are big, scary secret society people, they threaten your life.
There's plenty to do to make sure word doesn't get out.
And you know that they're everywhere.
Yep.
You just keep your mouth shut and live your life. So these miles of underground tunnels and layer upon layer of secret buildings and bunkers beneath the airport were supposedly built for the members of the recently mentioned secret societies, and they were going to use this to ride out the coming apocalypse. Some also claim that there's a tunnel that runs all the way from Denver to the North American Aerospace Defense Command, also known as NORAD, which is located 100 miles away in Colorado Springs.
That one is hard to believe.
This one's very hard to believe. A 90-mile long tunnel would be very cost prohibitive. Yep. The longest underground railway tunnel is in the Swiss Alps, and it is only 35 miles, and it took over 10 years to build.
Maybe they just finished this year.
I don't think they're tunneling 90 miles, and I don't know why they would need to. Like, what is their plan? Unless they're building a whole underground city for all of them to live in after they completely nuke the surface of the earth. I don't know.
Who knows?
It would also have cost a lot more than just the $2 billion that they went over.
It's not like they'd be announcing it.
That is true. Like, if you really want to go the other side of it, they could be spending money that we never know.
Yeah.
It would be something that they would have to still be working on today.
Yeah,
and it would take a huge crew.
Finished.
Somebody's
or they'll
working
finish
on it.
in 4 years when the rest of the construction is done.
In 2028.
Yeah.
Now, it is true that there are a great many tunnels beneath Denver Airport. But for us to say that it's a full underground city and that there's all these underground bunkers, nobody really knows. The official response from Denver Airport is that they have a significant number of maintenance tunnels. And even though their original plan for the automated system did not pan out, they are still using those tunnels with people, I guess, pushing carts or driving carts full of luggage to get back to the main terminal.
Okay.
There is no evidence that anyone has been able to find of a 6-story deep complex, because that is what is out there, is that it is 6 stories deep. That's really, really far into the ground to build.
Yeah, it is.
And that there's a full colony of elites that could live down there for years and years. There would have to be a lot of supplies loaded down there.
It's possible, though. It's still possible. Haven't you seen Resident Evil?
I know. Even though this is not something that we know of happening anywhere today, yeah, things can always happen. Yes, I've watched Resident Evil and that one scares me to death.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think like where else these large underground things are built, and most of them are on military bases, like the one in Colorado Springs. But those are going to be obvious points, like where people know that most likely there's an underground whatever defense area or whatever. So it would make sense if you wanted to prepare for end times that you would put it in different locations that people wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
If you have a 52-mile square foot.
It's perfect at an airport because you just got to fly there and you're there. And you walk through some door that takes you to your new house. If you have a lot of money.
Now, there's another theory that this underground facility would not be used for the survival of the secret society, but rather to use as a prison.
Oh.
To house those who dared stand against the New World Order.
Just kill them. Why would they spend so much money for that?
Because there is also thought that they'd want to enslave the people and use them for workers, kind of like what we do with the prison communities today.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want to get real honest.
I don't think you need an underground bunker for that, though.
No. So that's another theory out there.
Yeah.
There's also people who think it's a deep underground military base, and the acronym is DUMB. So I don't know what this deep underground military base would do, but that is another thought out there. Others suggest that the underground lair may be home to something supernatural. It's where we're storing extraterrestrials that we have found, or the famed lizard people. Now, why are the lizard people living underground? I don't really know. Do they just like underground bunkers?
I don't know. But that you hear that all over the world, though.
The lizard people?
Yeah.
Living under DIA?
Living underground.
Oh.
So I don't know. Possible. And half of our government are lizard people. So
probably. There was a movie in 2019 called Us. Did you ever see that?
Yes, I
have seen that. So this movie, I have not seen it.
It's crazy.
It was about a community of murderous doppelgangers that were created. And some speculate or theorize that perhaps that is what's going on under Denver Airport, is that there is, what do you call it? I guess
cloning operation.
Exactly. And that they're building these groups of doppelgangers that will rise up from under the earth and take over the surface with the New World Order.
Just the people in power.
Maybe.
Why would they doppelgang me? Is that a word? Doppelgang?
Clone.
Why would they clone me?
Now back to the aliens, I want to talk about one of the stranger claims that began with a person who watched the 1977 movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In the film, there's a mysterious broadcast purportedly revealing the coordinates for Devil's Tower. Okay. I've never watched this movie, but I visited Devil's Tower and everybody was like, oh my God. And I guess it's a pivotal part of the story. So I won't run it for anyone. But anyways, they used these coordinates in the movie. And this guy that was watching it actually looked up these coordinates, and he said they didn't actually correspond to Devil's Tower, but instead they corresponded to where the Denver International Airport was built.
Oh, okay.
And this was done a dozen years before construction actually began on the airfield. So it was just the coordinates of where it would eventually be. His thought was that this was some kind of clue that the aliens were coming there.
Okay.
That's a pretty far out there claim.
Yeah.
But yeah, alongside that, there is claims that not only are there bunkers and tunnels underneath, but that there is a secret runway that is buried just below the surface. And that is where, when the time comes, the aliens, the global elites, the reptilians, whoever you want to believe, would come in and land in that runway that nobody knows. And then they could quickly be ushered down into the underground bunkers.
Oh.
I don't know how you would build a runway under.
Well, it'd have to obviously start from the surface. It has to be a big enough freaking hole that they can fly into. So
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You have 52 miles to work
that's
with.
True. But I'd say that that's dangerous. What if that pilot's not good and he runs into something? Then everybody's stuck down there because kaboom.
Unless it's alien.
Technology.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Alien. What's the word I'm looking for?
An alien
aircraft.
Yeah. Spacecraft.
And then they can
do
easily
whatever.
it. Yeah, they can maneuver in there.
They hover like butter.
Now, contractors who originally worked on the airport reportedly have come out. I've only seen the one, but they're saying there's more that say they saw evidence of bunker entrances and unexplained tunnels when they were working in the areas.
Okay.
There's also rumors that there is a drawing on the walls that are down in these tunnels and they have alien symbols. And there's even been blurry footage, if you look around on conspiracy websites, of lizard people that are supposedly down in these tunnels.
You know what it makes me think of? These lizard people. It makes me think of the witches.
The witches, like the movie.
Yeah. You know, they have their real face and their
Reptilian face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's who's working
Just
down there.
Down there, they don't have to wear the human one.
Maybe. Now, when you ask the airport officials to talk about these claims, they do acknowledge that there are several subterranean levels beneath the main terminal.
Okay.
Including the trains that we take between the concourses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is an underground like subway system.
Right.
But they say the tunnels only extend out to the perimeter of the airport, and that's only about 2 miles. So that's what the official statement is from the Denver airport. They also say you're more likely to meet just regular office workers down in those tunnels versus billionaires walking around in ceremonial robes, lizard people, or aliens.
Okay, whatever you say, Joe.
They say some of the underground levels host work and office spaces, and that roughly 1,000 people work daily in the various levels underneath the airport. They're ferrying luggage between ticket counters and planes, and that there's a 7,000-foot long tunnel that runs alongside the airport's underground trains that we just talked about, and that's where they go back and forth with the baggage.
Okay.
They did provide a tour to some of the reporters from the Denver Post and other local areas. They drove them around in an electric golf cart under the B concourse. They could see all of the tunnels and where the automated baggage system was supposed to be. But it was also said that there is over 470,000 square feet of underground space. And the fact of the matter is it would take them over 3 days to show a reporter everything that was down there.
Oh, well, that's a long time.
They also responded and said that airport workers love to put on lizard people masks as pranks. And actually,
oh my God. Okay, shut up.
There was one caught on camera when these reporters went down there. It was Fox 31 KDVR in Denver, and they caught a video, and it was just supposedly a worker running around with a lizard person mask on, and you will see that video on a lot of conspiracy theorist sites as evidence that there's lizard people in the tunnels. They also said that
of course that's what you're gonna say. Oh shit, they saw one of us.
So
he's
you
just
can
wearing a
believe,
mask.
yeah, you can believe which one ever you want.
Okay.
They also refuted the alienistic writings on the wall as graffiti that some of the airport workers like to draw.
Oh, okay.
This brings us to one of the biggest conspiracy ideologies at the Denver airport, and that has to do with the artwork.
Right.
Is it possible that the 40-piece public art collection provides clues to a sinister influence at the airport?
Sure.
Some believe it is an opening statement and warning to what is truly going on and a sign of the impending apocalypse that will be brought upon by the New World Order in connection with the Nazis, Freemasons, and Illuminati.
Art is very powerful, and it's been used for symbolism for a very long time, obviously. So I would say yes.
Well, let's talk about it because I think there is some pretty creepy art.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of this.
I haven't traveled as much as you. I haven't been through the entire airport yet. So,
well, let me give you a sneak preview, and anybody who's traveling through Denver Airport in the future can check all of this out. I have, after watching some of these things, I've gone and looked specifically for these art pieces.
Okay.
So the first one is one you can't miss. It's while you're driving into the airport. It is
horse.
Blue Mustang. He is referenced by most of the people from Colorado as Blucifer. Have you heard Blucifer?
Because he has red glowing eyes.
Yes, he is a 32-foot tall sculpture. He weighs over 9,000 pounds. And he's created of fiberglass, and it is a large horse that is rearing up on its hind legs, and he has red glowing eyes.
You know what I just realized? Is there a connection between Blucifer and our bear downtown? He's blue too, and he's also massive.
It's not the same artist. I know that.
Huh. That bear's always creeped me out because he's just like, look at all you fucking little humans. What are you doing in there?
I'm going to tell you about Lucifer.
Okay.
You can't miss him when you're driving in. Originally, when they commissioned, they wanted some kind of structure outside of the airport. They wanted it close to where you entered into the main terminal so people could take pictures with it. And they commissioned an artist named Luis Jimenez. And what he came up with, they found to be so disturbing, they didn't want to put it too close. And so that's why now it is out where you drive past it and there's really nowhere to stop. You can't really take pictures with it.
Right.
And they did that on purpose because the horse turned out a little, I think, spookier than they were planning.
Right. And just, I don't think you said it, but he's also on his hind, like he's standing on his hind legs.
Yeah, he's up on it. He's rearing up on his hind legs. People also bring this up. I didn't write it down, but it is an anatomically correct horse. And some people get really focused when I was listening to some podcasts about the fact that like his junk is on display, but I'm like, he's a fucking horse.
Yeah. What do you...
And they talk about how large his horse penis is.
Oh, I've never looked. So good job, guys. I don't know.
What is wrong with people? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about his genitalia.
Okay.
He's a fucking horse.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure it's appropriately sized for his size of horse.
Like I literally, until you just told me, I'm like, I never even noticed junk ever.
Like there have been people who have asked to have it removed because it's too vulgar.
They're not as well endowed and they're jealous. That's just silly.
Lucifer does look frightening, but that is not what Luis Jimenez's intention was.
He doesn't look that scary. I don't understand. I've never understood any of the hype around him. I'm like, it's just a fucking horse.
And it was inspired by Jimenez's smaller and similar sculpture that he installed before at the University of Oklahoma.
Okay.
But there were some sinister events around the statue, which I think is why it has fueled conspiracy theories. So before we go into more about that, let's talk about Luis Jimenez and who he is. He is not a conspiracy theorist. He was just an artist. He was born in El Paso, Texas in July of 1940. He grew up working in his father's neon studio, which is why he chose to put glowing red eyes into Lucifer, because it was an homage to his father's neon site.
I guess he should have made them green instead of red.
I guess red goes best with the blue. So that is why he has glowing eyes, because of the neon. It was just a thing to his dad to say, hey, dad is the one who started me, because he said working in his father's neon sign studio is really what inspired him to become an artist.
Okay.
He went to school at the University of Texas in Austin and El Paso and earned a bachelor's degree in art and architecture. And then he moved to New York City. He became a teacher. He also became an accomplished artist. He taught at the University of Arizona and later the University of Houston. As a sculptor, he was known for large fiberglass sculptures, often of Southwestern and Hispanic themes. His works were often controversial.
Okay.
They are very recognizable because of his sculpture style, and he always used very bright colors. He was influenced in working in El Paso by the lowrider car culture.
Oh, okay.
And the brightly painted fiberglass bodywork that was done on those.
Yeah.
And they were often accented with glitter. And
those are still around all over New Mexico.
Yeah, I remember seeing these all in Texas too. And so that's what he brought into his sculptures. And if you think about that and look at Lucifer, he's got kind of that sheen that you would see on like a lowrider vehicle, because he's blue but kind of glittery in a way.
And I'm sure it's faded over time.
He received many awards and acclaim during his 30 years as an artist, primarily known for his large fiberglass sculptures like Blue Mustang. Unfortunately, Blue Mustang was to be his last sculpture.
Oh.
After working on the piece for nearly a decade, he was actually killed in an accident involving Lucifer. He was in his New Mexico studio in June of 2006 when a piece of the sculpture fell on him and it severed an artery in his leg.
Oh.
And he bled to death.
Oh my gosh.
That is the main reason people think that this sculpture, Lucifer, that's why he has the name, because he killed the man who created him.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So the piece was eventually completed by Jimenez's children, and then they unveiled it in February of 2008. So it took almost 2 years after he passed away.
10 years he worked on it.
Yes.
Only to be killed by it. That's
Yes,
sad.
which is kind of eerie.
Yeah.
I was reading like he had hoisted a part of the statue up to like paint underneath, and then the string or the rope broke and it fell on him.
You said he was 9,000 pounds, so that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. His whole thing is 9,000 pounds. I'm sure that one piece, I mean, 200
Hundreds.
pounds falling on you can
Pounds,
crush your legs. So
yeah.
Now back to the glowing red eyes that everybody says is proof that this is a demonic creature and perhaps a nod to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Okay.
Other than him wanting to do a tribute to his dad, his wife gave another reason that she thinks he chose these pair of glowing red eyes to put into the horse statue. She said there was a story of her husband investigating a noise late in the middle of the night and being frightened by a pair of red glowing eyes in the living room.
Oh, okay.
After his initial shock, he realized they were those of his horse, Blackjack, who had somehow gotten into the house.
Oh, okay.
And so she speculates that he chose the red eyes to illustrate the point that sometimes things can seem frightening simply because they're unfamiliar or unexpected.
Yeah.
She said that Blackjack, his horse, was also the model that Luis used when sculpting and creating Blue Mustang. And she said the blue color was chosen because the horse was a blue Roan Appaloosa, which is a breed that is a mix of black and white hairs, and that gives it a distinctive blue tint.
Okay.
So that's a little bit more background from the artist's perspective.
Right.
On why you have a big blue horse with glowing red eyes.
Okay.
But that won't stop people from theorizing that there is some other nefarious reason for Lucifer to be at the front of Denver Airport.
It is interesting. I hope his family got paid still.
They did. I had listened to a few podcasts and they talked about how much they were paying him to do the sculpture. It was a lot of money.
10 years. Yeah, better be. It's a long time.
Yeah, and apparently they weren't too happy about how long it took him to complete. And then when they saw it, I don't think they were really happy about it. But the fact that he died while making this statue makes it his most valuable piece.
Yeah. For sure. And it's not like someone can go steal 9,000 pounds.
Nobody can take it anywhere. It's probably never moving. Another sculpture that people are freaked out by in the Denver airport is a 22-foot sculpture of Anubis, which is the ancient Egyptian god of death. This piece was erected in June of 2010. It was part of an advertising campaign for the Denver Art Museum when they had the traveling King Tut exhibit on display.
Oh, yeah.
The piece was paid for by private funds and it was removed when the exhibit left town like 2 years later. But if you look on the internet for Denver Airport, people will still bring up that they had the god of death in the Denver airport. And that is another sign of the impending apocalypse.
Well, it's definitely impending.
I mean, yeah. And if you're looking for it, you can find it because I can tell you, I've been through Denver Airport and they do have like traveling art installations. And I have another photograph that was in part of this. And people saw this as another sign. It was Alex Sweetman's Art Chronicles, and it was a series documenting the construction of the airport. And many of the photo murals were just capturing the scenes of like what it looked like before the airport was built. There was like a bison, you know, standing in a meadow. There was a field of vibrant yellow sunflowers, but there was one photo of a field of dead browning sunflowers. And for whatever reason, that became a thing.
Oh, okay.
They said it was a coded message about the looming apocalypse hidden in the airport's artwork. Or maybe it was just a picture of the changing seasons. Whichever way you want to go.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you're looking for it, you can find it.
Sure.
But perhaps the most widely known clue to the airport's evil agenda, aside from Lucifer that we already talked about, is a mural titled Children of the World, Dream of Peace.
Yes.
These murals are quite large. They're 28 feet and they're really hard to miss.
This is when you go down to get on the train.
I'm trying to think exactly where these are. I feel like they're in between baggage claim and the Great Hall. So like when you come out of the airport and you're headed to baggage claim, there's like a little hallway and that's where one of them is. There's a couple of them. And I think the other one is maybe upstairs in between ticketing and security.
Oh,
it's
well,
that
then
hallway.
I don't know if
And they like take up the whole hallway.
Oh, I don't think I've ever stopped to look at them then.
They're gorgeous as far as like very bright colors. Like you can't miss them. And we're about to talk about the artist who made these. He's a muralist and he's done murals all over the world. One of his most famous ones is in Houston, Texas. And it's the same bright colors on the side of a building. It's like 400 feet. It's huge. So So Leo Tanguma is the name of the artist that made these murals, and he is also from Texas. I don't know why we ended up with two Texas artists, but they both lived in Colorado at the time that they did the artwork for the airport. He started his lifelong art career at a very young age of 8, using a pencil and pieces of cardboard boxes to draw people working in the field with his parents. He was inspired to create art by the hardships endured by Mexican Americans. Leo recalls creating his first mural in elementary school in the early 1950s. While waiting in his 5th grade classroom for a substitute teacher, one of his classmates asked him to draw him killing the local sheriff on the blackboard.
Oh, geez.
The Beeville sheriff was known for his brutality against Mexican Americans and had killed a number of them, including a close relative to his mother.
Oh.
As expected, the mural of the sheriff being stabbed got the 5th graders all excited, but the teacher did not think so, and he was punished. He said he was hit on his back with a ruler. This early childhood incident inspired Leo to get involved in community matters and the struggle for social justice, and art became his voice to proclaim the aspirations of the oppressed and a means to protest peacefully. Most of his work is very controversial for that reason. It's highlighting the struggles specifically of Mexican Americans, but that evolved as he grew older and he moved into different parts. His most iconic art piece is in Houston. It is 240 feet tall. It's on the side of a building he completed in 1973, and it's called Rebirth of Our Nationality.
Wow. He is modern day Michelangelo.
Yeah, it's gorgeous too. Like the colors are amazing. He painted all of his murals completely freehand.
Holy
no
crap.
grids or projectors.
Wow.
So he's very talented. He is still alive today, and he is now in his 80s, and he continues to create murals in schools, universities, and many other sites. So this brings us to the mural that he created in the Denver International Airport in 1995. It contains some pretty disturbing imagery, which has, unsurprisingly, stoked a bunch of conspiracy theories and thoughts around it. Many people claim that it foretells the one world, new world order government, wiping out most of the population and ruthlessly ruling over what's left. But in order to really know what was meant by this, we have to ask the artist, and he will tell you what he believes and what he was inspired by when painting these murals.
Okay. I'm looking at one right now. Well, yeah, I can see why it's questionable.
The first panel represents the horrors of war with grieving parents, buildings that have been destroyed by bombs, and children sleeping in the rubble.
Okay.
The dominant central figure is a faceless soldier who is basically stabbing a dove on the point of their sword. This is supposed to represent war killing peace. This is without a doubt the panel that is most frequently cited for its sinister overtones, and often the rest of the panels are not shown when people are talking about this artwork and what it means. So some people speculate that this means the end of the world and children are sleeping in rubble. Are you looking at it right now?
I'm looking at it. That girl's not sleeping. She's clearly dead. It's disturbing, yeah. I can see where you could get lost in these murals.
Yeah, let me keep going and tell you what Tanguma says.
Okay.
And then y'all can do whatever you want. You can think whatever you want, but this is what the artist says. He says the second panel depicts impending disasters brought on by climate change. Dead animals are dotted throughout the painting. On either side, the bodies of a woman and a child lie in coffins, illustrating that humans are not immune from the impact of the changing ecosystem. Children of various ethnicities look on with expressions of shock, horror, and dismay, while behind them, the forest burns. So that was the uplifting second panel.
Okay.
And then the final central panel is a scene of hope and optimism for the future. In it, people of all races and nationalities are seen embracing each other, smiling happily, and singing. Weapons of war are now bundled in nationalistic flags, with children bearing them forward to be beaten into plowshares. A broken statue of the soldier from the first panel lies buried and forgotten. Put together, the mural implies humanity moving past its aggressive tendencies, defeating the ecological challenges that we face, and overcoming. Taken as a whole, the way that Tanguma wanted it to be seen is the predominant theme is one of hope for the future, but we have to face our disturbing past.
I'm still just staring at everything. I don't know why I've never stopped
You've never
to look
seen
at
these. They're
No.
bright. They're really, really bright colors. Like you can't miss them. So even though he's saying the predominant theme is one of hope for the future, there is some very disturbing imagery in there. Mm-hmm. You could probably stand there and look at this thing if you're in the airport or look online and you can find various scenarios throughout the whole 28-foot mural. But know that this is Tanguma's style. If you look at some of his other works, it shows the same things. And these are ones that are not at the Denver airport.
Yeah.
Tanguma's work fits within the larger Latin American social realism art movement with a focus on human liberation and multicultural themes. But Tanguma's work does contain more otherworldly and doomsday type imagery that critics say is an odd choice for an international airport, which I could agree.
Yeah.
Tanguma, for his part, he has brushed off all the conspiracy theories and said his murals at the DIA are about saving the environment and world peace, totally unlike the garbage that these conspiracy theorists write about. They are just spreading lies. His work is about cultural identity, the struggle for social justice and peace, women's liberation, and other themes that he wants to be focused on. He does not appreciate that his work has been pulled into all these conspiracy theories.
I mean, at the same time, you are doing art that has all these different expressions and people are going to make their own opinions about it. So you can't be upset about it.
So in 2018, when they started this large-scale remodeling, they did take Tanguma's infamous murals down. So they're put in storage right now. So you cannot see them at the airport today.
Okay.
But they should be back up. The airport says they did not get rid of them. They are controversial, but they plan to restore them and hang them back up when construction is complete. The final piece of artwork I want to talk about are the gargoyles. I think these are cute.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. But this is also brought up as just weird. It might be easy to miss these two small gargoyles. They're set atop columns in the baggage claim areas. Have you seen them?
Oh, yeah. But
So,
it's like right when you walk in, right? I think so.
they're up above. Yeah. They're kind of by the doors that you enter in and out of. And there's one in the east and there's one in the west. So you can see them in both sides of the airport. They are perched on top of a Samsonite suitcase.
Oh.
And this was a nod to the Samsonite factory, which operated in Denver until it closed in 2001. The design of the gargoyles was inspired by those on the Notre Dame Cathedral. As with gargoyles, if you know, the idea is that the creatures protect all that they oversee. And according to their creator, who is artist Terry Allen, they are posted in baggage claim to ensure your luggage arrives safely, on time, and at the correct carousel.
Sometimes they're sleeping.
They must have been installed after that video. The baggage claim fucking up.
That's funny.
Despite this, some people see gargoyles as demonic, and some conclude that they are further evidence of the airport's sinister secret purpose. In March of 2019, and I think this is awesome because I have not found this yet, and now I'm going to go look for it, the airport unveiled a new gargoyle, and it's actually animated, and it talks to you, and it's in the middle of one of the concourses. But I gotta look up which concourse.
Okay.
Apparently, it interacted with passengers and joked about the supposed conspiracies connected to the airport.
Oh, okay.
I have one more conspiracy to share, which this one just came out in April of 2023. There was a video that went viral on TikTok claiming that there is a new artistic 30-year-old world map art installation at Denver Airport that confirms flat Earth theory.
Yeah, I've been seeing some stuff, and they're doing new art now with the construction that they're doing. And I've seen like little things pop up about that because everybody's kind of waiting for certain things to be finished so that they can see the entirety of it.
Well, now they're going to do weird art because Denver's known for it. And that's what I want to talk about because we have an organization now that instead of distancing themselves, for a while they tried to just ignore all the conspiracy theories, but in the last 5 years, they've started embracing it.
Okay.
They decided that's part of their identity as the Denver airport, and it's a way to connect with passengers. A few years ago, they hosted a museum-style gallery exhibition called Conspiracy Theories Uncovered, and they had this whole area set up, and I wish I knew this because I was probably there and just didn't look, but they had an area where you can walk through, and it celebrated some of the airport's most notable conspiracy theories. It included an alien skull. I say alien with parentheses.
With air quotes.
What am I doing?
Air quotes.
It was an alien skull that was made by employees and planted during construction of the new airport hotel. They've also capitalized on their conspiracy theory and mythical past with a series of ads, one showing Lucifer with his red laser beam shooting out of his eyes and the tagline saying, "Are we creating the world's greatest airport or are we preparing for the end of the world?" Another one pictures one of the gargoyles in a TSA scanner and asks, streamlined security or more secrets?
Okay.
Others depict space aliens, a lizard person, mysterious tunnels, even a cat in a tinfoil hat.
Oh, that's cute.
All are hashtagged Den Files, a play on the X-Files TV show, and urge viewers to learn the truth at denfiles.com. If you go to denfiles.com, it's a marketing campaign for what they're doing in the Great Hall, which I mentioned earlier, where they're turning it into the big mall, and it will just tell you all the great things that are coming.
Okay.
But that is one thing that they've done. They also have construction signs around the airport, which I think are really cute. I've seen these. I should have taken pictures, but I think there's some on the internet. One of them says, apologies for the noise. It takes really big drills to get to the underworld.
Okay.
Another one quips, forgive the mess. Building secret underground tunnels can get quite untidy.
Okay.
They said it's just another way to poke fun at themselves and differentiate, and that it's actually doing really well.
Okay.
There was also one I saw. I didn't write this one down, but I remember there was one about lizard people, and they had a little picture of a reptilian. I saw that one in person. There is a local spot called Voodoo Donuts.
Oh, Voodoo Donuts is good.
I love Voodoo Donuts. Well, they opened a store.
Oh, really?
In the B concourse last year. And they are also playing into the conspiracy theories. They placed a little blue alien outside the donut shop to greet guests. And it's actually a photo op. So you can take a picture with the alien, and then behind you, like the backdrop looks like you're in the tunnels of the airport. It's really cute.
That's cute.
And now I want to go to the B concourse and take a picture with the alien.
Yeah.
And get a donut.
And get a donut.
According to those who run the airport, they said most of the theories for conspiracy are so laughable and they're easily disproved. So DIA is happy to weaponize them as marketing tools. Or is this all just another conspiracy?
Or they're just putting it in your face because they can. Because I do know sinister stuff goes down there. I think DIA is a hub for trafficking.
I mean, every airport's a hub, every train station.
I feel like I've said hub a lot in this episode.
I've said a lot of words in this that I don't usually say.
As far as the theory going into that is I've heard, because of what's underground, there's a lot of people there.
I have no doubt that some of that could be going on. I have heard that they use the tunnels to transport VIPs. So if celebrities come to Denver, if the big sports stars, the presidential, whoever, that they use the tunnels to get people around so that they're not seen, by the normals.
It's also a way to traffic girls to private planes.
Yeah. Epstein kind of bullshit. We know that there are
tunnels.
So many spaces under there that people have not been to. Yep. We know that they have allowed some people down there to video, but it's all been very controlled. Is there something else going on?
Mm-hmm.
There very well could be.
Yep.
We know this is a dark world. Is it aliens or lizard people? Probably not.
Just in a couple of the offices.
Is it potentially a spot for people to come in the impending apocalypse?
Well, maybe.
That seems
it's underground. Why wouldn't it be utilized?
I think there's probably a lot of underground places throughout the whole U.S. that they can all come to, and maybe they're each assigned one.
Yeah.
Billionaires don't live the same life as we do.
Nope.
And they probably have multiple places they can go if something happens. Yep. So maybe they helped fund it that way.
A lot of them are currently building bunkers. I'd say that it was funded by bad people because you can't get over $4 billion from the little folk.
Or the government tax dollars.
Or the government. Seriously, there's no way to have created this without bad people being involved. So you can't ignore the fact that there are parts of it, maybe not the entire thing, but parts of it can have a bad purpose.
And the truth of the matter is, with any conspiracy theory, and the reason they're even called that in the beginning is because there's not a lot of evidence that you can prove.
Right.
So it will continue to be a conjecture forever here. All I can do is say what we've heard.
Unless something's found, We found Epstein's Island. Someday someone might find what's actually going on.
But will that happen? No, because those people will probably be killed before anything can ever come out because there's too many people tied to it.
No, sometimes some get through, and that's what they are. They're the whistleblower, right? And they are able to leak the evidence before, they still might die, but they're able to leak said evidence before, they expire. Right now, we don't know. And that's the point, right?
We don't know. I know that I'm in Denver Airport all the time, and I will definitely think differently, and I'm going to look for some of these items that are on here. There's construction going on right now.
I know.
What are they really doing? And I think about the size of the airport versus like the size of many other airports I've been to in my life. It's not that big.
No, it's really not that big.
So we got a lot of land.
That's a lot of land.
It's not being used. Unless they just annexed all of that land to make sure nobody could build houses close.
I mean, that's a very real possibility there.
It is a very large complex. I think it is unique to many of the other large airports that I can think of in the United States right now. I can see why there's conspiracy theories that are fueled by this place.
Definitely.
Do I buy into all of them? No, I think there's some that are pretty like far-fetched, but there could be something.
I think there's definitely something going on there, but we just can't say what it is.
Yeah. So
simple as that. Well, this was cool. This was an interesting
it's like a detour to
a
our
detour.
regular programming.
I mean, but I like knowing the history of places and how things came to be. And yeah, it would be nice to go there without construction for once, but
I want to know how you get to the tunnels.
Let's go and
That's
find
something
out.
I could not find anywhere.
Oh.
So people are working there. There's all these elevators. Maybe you have to have a special badge to go in the deep elevator.
The deep,
goes
deep.
to the 6th floor. I mean, 6 floors underneath seems a little excessive.
It's the Umbrella Corporation.
Probably. You know, when I read the thing about the doppelgangers cloning, for whatever reason, I'm like, that seems more realistic to me, is that they would be using this to do some like
crazy
underground testing on people that go missing every day.
Look at the celebrities. Some of them I believe that they were cloned because it's just dramatic changes.
Like Britney.
Oh yeah, Britney. And it's not even that they're replaced. It's like, or maybe they are. I mean, I couldn't say beyond that, but there are some that I'm like, whoa, that's not the same person at all. Definitely some celebrities that I question anyway.
We could start talking about some other conspiracy theories. Maybe we'll have more episodes in the future.
Maybe.
Where we incorporate some of these because I think they're kind of fun and cool to look at and they make you think.
They do.
Yep. Because some things that look completely wacky when you first take a look, when you start digging in, there are facets of it that could be true.
Yep.
And I don't think it's just because we want to believe in mysticism, or I don't want to believe in most of these because they're dark and scary.
It's true. Well, thank you for this episode.
Yeah.
We're back next week with a haunting of sorts.
I like hauntings. So we have a little break and then I'm coming back with some true crime. Don't worry, guys. We haven't forgotten you there.
Please send your lab reports to lucidlabpodcast@gmail.com, or you can mail them to P.O. Box 251, Eastlake, Colorado 80614.
And you can find us on all the social media sites. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I will post some pictures from this episode. So please take a look. We're at Lucid Lab Podcast, all one word. Next time you're traveling through DIA, I bet you look at the airport a little bit differently.
And now, thanks to you, I'm going to think of horse junk next time I'm driving. And I never noticed it before. Thanks.
We'll both be looking.
Dang it. All righty, guys. In the meantime,
stay lucid.
And we'll see you later.
Bye.
Goodbye.